Welcome to location number 2. As you can see, teeny bit flooded. Let me show you. Down there is the 2 jetties that you've seen me fish from. Yeah, they're well underwater. There's actually fish rising in the car park. Let's find somewhere else to go today, shall we? Morning! Just arrived at location number 3, I think. 3 or 4. We're on the river, main street in Enniskillen. Anyone that knows this place will know where I am. Not off to the best of starts. My retaining sling has magically disappeared, so that sucks. But I have 3 rods out. I'm about to make a cup of coffee. Let's see what the rest of the day brings, eh? Rain, rain, and more rain. Today's off to a bad start. Lost my weighing retaining sling thing. Left the house this morning, forgot to bring the bacon with me. Shambles, absolute shambles. But I have a big oiled up mackerel, or not mackerel, roach on my left hand rod. Middle rod is a smelt, and the third rod, which is over there, is the haggis mackerel. Got my brew in my hand. I've been noticed. It's appeared on Facebook that I'm here already. So, hopefully the pike gods smile on me and I catch something. Although having said all that, the river's actually still rising. I put a little stick in the margins when I first got here, where the water is, and it's about that far past it now, so the river's still coming up. This area where I am is like a big back eddy. You've got the main flow coming into the corner and hitting the far bank, and it leaves this little bit here. It's quite deep, it's really, really deep actually. It leaves this bit here kind of out of the main flow, into the slack water. So your prey species will be in here keeping out of the main flow, and the pike will be in here after the prey species. Or at least that's what I hope. So breakfast today is going to be a pot noodle. Yay! I'll finish my brew before I do anything. Or I suppose I could just not eat. It's not like I'm going to waste away and have something when I go home. That could be a plan. Well, here we are on the river. Watching the crap come down the river. Always pleasurable. On this rod I have a mackerel that's dyed red and smells of haggis. I know. Why does it smell of haggis? I don't know. But we have a red mackerel that smells of haggis on this rod. Ledger hard on the bottom. You can just about see the main current on the far side, so we're on this side of it. It's really deep here, so having to use 4 ounces to hold the bottom. I was planning on throwing 4 or 5 ounce, so happily 4 ounces is holding the bottom. On the pod I have a big roach and the smelt. And the roach has been out long enough now that I'm going to take it in and wire it full of oil. to get some scent into the water, which probably won't make the guy that's fishing below me very happy, because he's trying to catch roach and I'm going to put a lot of fish oils and the like into the bait, into the water columns. But he's feeder fishing, he should be further away out. So as you can see, we're in the middle of Enniskillen town. Directly opposite me is the police station and the police boats, so we have to behave. No live baiting today. And that's Enniskillen main town centre. That's the Cornagrade bank. This is the Round O bank. And here's where we're living today. I've got my cradle upside down because it's going to be windy later on. I want to have it so it doesn't blow away. But if the worst happens, we can run to the van. We're expecting winds to 45 today, so I'm hoping that being in the middle of the town should kind of shelter me a little bit. But who knows? Who knows, eh? Right, let's get this bad boy full of oil. I found a lure. It's been in the water quite a bit of time, but somebody's lost the lure. The trace that it was attached to was attached by that clip. The trace, literally when I pulled this out of the weeds, the trace just disintegrated and went. It went at the little crimp in here. So I've got one less bit of crap in the river. If anybody wants a lure, let me know. I'll send it to you. It looks like it's been made by somebody called Peter. I can't make out the second name. Peter somebody. So there you go. It's a nice little plug. It rattles. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. The hooks are crap. The hooks would have to be destroyed because they're rusted, and the split rings would need replaced. But so there we have it. A little plug that was in the margins. It's not going to make up for losing a 50-pound waistling, but and I have to go and tell the wife I've just swazzed 50 quid of fishing gear up the fucking wall. She's going to love that. Fuck it. Just calm. Fishing. Take away stress. Hurry up, Tish. Fuck off stress. I had a laugh this week. We were, I was at work, and where I work, I just turn up. I want to get my job done and get home. I don't want to hang around. I don't want to, make friends with the people there. I just want to get home, get in, do my job to the best of my ability, and leave. I'm a professional. I do my job to the best of my ability. My job's a lot of dealing with customers, like the general public. And the general public would test your patience, they really would. But it's okay, because I'm fishing. MSW and I are still house hunting. I'd like a nice house. Not asking for a castle. It'd be good if I had a garage. That way I could turn it into like my fishing garage. Fishing stuff on the one side, and on the other side maybe have like a workshop where I can do stuff. Have all my tools on one side and my fishing gear on the other. But it's nice just to go and look at places. There's some estates that are just being built and they're advertising them as turnkey, you don't have to do shit, you just walk in and the house is how you want it. But they're very, very expensive. And I don't know how people, like here where I live, I don't know how people can afford to buy like a £180,000 house. On the majority of the jobs in this part of the world are you know, what you would class as below living wage, you know, minimum pay jobs. So it'd be very, very difficult. The wife and I are lucky because she works full time and I work full time, so together that makes one livable wage. So we're house hunting. You know, scrape up a deposit, go and speak to the bank. I never realised how invasive it was speaking to a woman in a bank who analysed literally everything that you do. You know, it kind of made you feel guilty for having Sky TV because you watched the football. It was a strange interview, having to tell a woman what you spend every month and why you should, like, ask you to justify why you spend it. It's like, wait a minute, I kind of quite like watching the rugby or the football or, you know, the TV. I kind of like having a mobile phone, you know, little things like that there. I want to buy a house, I don't want to be fucking chained to it and live like a hermit the rest of my life. It's good though, because there's like banks that do like a 5% deposit, which isn't so bad, you know. Then you do your mortgage over 30 years. You know, if I took out a mortgage today over 30 years, I'd be 68 by the time I've paid the fucking thing off. So that means working to at least 68. Yay! Retirement! Who needs retirement? Makes me crap, makes me laugh, it really does. You listen to these global warming hippies telling us that the world's going to end in 12 years, but the banks still offer you a 30-year mortgage. And these pious fucking self-righteous hypocrites that tell you, oh, the world's going to end in 12 years, like fucking Saint Obama, then goes and buys a house worth hundreds of millions of pounds in a place called Martha's Vineyard in America. That would be the very first place that would be eradicated if the fucking sea levels rose. So do you really think he fucking believes that crap? Spend a couple $100 million buying a mansion, a luxury mansion, in an area of the world that you know if the seas rise, then that area is disappearing. Not that I don't believe that, you know, I'm all for, you know, clean rivers, clean air, keeping your environment nice and tidy. But I fail to see how one man with a bag for life is going to accomplish that. I sit and listen to these, you know, these hippies. They wouldn't be happy unless we're all living in fucking mud huts. You know, don't drive diesel cars. 10 years ago we were told by the government, buy diesel cars because they're cheaper. Buy diesel cars because when the oil runs out, we're going to plant rapeseed and then we're going to have biodiesel. Alright, okay. Now we have to buy electric cars and petrol and diesel is getting phased out. And you're there thinking, okay, electric cars. Electric cars require an immense amount of you know, natural resources like nickel and cobalt. The globe only has enough supplies of this that wouldn't even build electric cars to replace the ones in North America, let alone Europe and where we live. So buy electric cars, pay more tax. A cynic would believe that it's all an excuse to tax more, like take more money and tax revenue off the poorest in society. And of course it's pushed and it's forced into your veins by the likes of the BBC. Sooner the fucking BBC has the TV licence taken away from them, the absolute better. The BBC can kiss my puckered ring. Did you know the BBC have jobs where if you're a white man you can't apply for it? I didn't believe it until I went onto the website and actually looked and went, it literally says this job is not open to white people in so many words, and it's like, replace white person with Asian, black, you know, or replace it with anything and there'd be like hell to pay, there'd be a riot. I don't understand this society where it's now it's been pushed that it's a crime to be a masculine man. Don't understand that. Or this whole denial of science. On the one hand people are saying believe the science, on the next hand they're saying nah, don't believe the science. Global warming will do the whole line. If you don't believe global warming, you're a fucking science denier. And then you talk about transgender people, women that have a penis. Because apparently women can't have a penis. Apparently boys can have periods. I swear to fuck we live in clown world. I really do. This is a very ranty video today. I don't like ranting. I'm going to have another cup of coffee. I've been asked a few times in various comments in the videos and everything on Facebook to go through how I make a trace. I have went through in other videos. There is other videos where I've explained how to make a trace. But just for the guys that's asking, here is how I make my standard trace. And I'm going to run through the components that I use. So I'm going to set, this is already made. I just made this. So I'm going to set this over here. And I'm going to make one from scratch just for you. Let's start with the wire. The wire I use is American fishing wire bleeding leader. This is 45 stuff. 45 is a good sort of all standard sort of wire. It's a good sort of like general use. Any type of pike fishing, 45 is the wire for that. I do have heavier wires. I do have 60 and 90 but they tend to be for specific occasions, shall we say. Now, trace length. There are certain books that'll tell you a trace should be like no longer, like 18 inches is good enough for a trace. One of the best fish I've ever caught in my life, the pike rolled, and I was using an 18-inch trace. I used to be really pedantic and I would measure them to the inch and make them to the inch, 18 inches. This pike rolled, and as it came to the net, there was this much, just shy of about 2 inches of trace showing. And I was panicking because the fish rolled, and then it crocodile rolled, and then it managed to swim back out to the depths again before I could get it back in. And it was an anxious couple of minutes before I eventually got it netted. But the trace had wrapped itself all the way around its mouth, and all that was stopping me from getting bit off was this much of wire. Then on in, I started making my traces, you know, around about 2 feet long, 24 inches. So, that's the trace wire material I'm using. Hooks. I'm a big fan of owner. I like owner hooks. Owner hooks tend to be sticky sharp. I know that when I'm making traces, I'm going to have a couple of these buggers attach themselves to me. It's not going to be, you know, on purpose. It's not going to be something I'll enjoy, but I will get pricked by them making traces. Shit happens. So that's the hooks. Hook size, well, 2s and 4s tend to be my standard for most of my fishing. There is places where you go smaller because you're fishing a smaller river, you're maybe using a smaller bait, but 2s and 4s, barbed, tend to be my standard everyday, what I use for pike fishing. So we have discussed the hooks, we have discussed the wire. Now let's talk the add-ons, the little bits that add on to your trace. These are little silicone sleeves. You take your wire, you slide them on, like so. This will cover up the crimp. Now the crimp is next. Talking about crimps, the crimps I use are AFW crimps. The crimp's the same as the same manufacturer as the guy who made the wire. I get all of my stuff, my crimps and my wire, from Eddie Turner. The link's below if you want to go and see the stuff that I get. So we've got the silicone sleeve. Now we're going to have the crimp. So silicone sleeve and crimp. Now we're going to attach a hook. This is the fun bit. This is the bit that I always get pricked with. So here we have the hook. Here we have the wire. I'm going to have a bit more length. Length is good. Wire, hook. I leave about 1 inch of a tag, and I bend. See, there we go, pricked. So you have an inch of a tag bent back. We're then going to wrap this around the main trace, like so. So that it looks like this. You can see that it's wrapped around the main trace, and it's now going to take this tag end and put it back through the eye. And then fold it back over itself again, like so. Take your time with this. So you have your trace, the tag ends now went back through the eye, and now this tag end is going to go through this little hole at the bottom here. This is the fidgety bit. A pair of pliers usually helps this bit. I don't have a pair of pliers with me. So there we have it. That is a loop over and around. That forms what's called now, what I call a choke knot. I pull this tight. I get my hook puller so I don't end up having treble hook embedded in me. I take my pliers. I pull it nice and tight. So that it is nice and tight. You then put your crimp on the wire like so. I leave a couple of millimeters from the knot, like that. When crimping, you're not wanting to squeeze the absolute bejesus out of it. You just want to apply enough pressure to close the crimp. And there it is. That is not going to move, it is not going to slip. The more you pull, the tighter it'll get on itself. This groove that the trace is in, or the crimp is in, I call that a gully. You then fold this back into the gully and trim the excess. So you trim off, leave about 5 mil, and there you have it. That is that hook attached. That hook is going absolutely nowhere. Then you just slide your little silicone sleeve over your hook and your crimp, all over your crimp even. I do this just to tidy up the trace. It's not really necessary. Some people use shrink tubing, some people don't use anything. And there you go. That hook is not going to move. My traces all get stored in this thing. This thing is 26 inches long. My Mr. Pike trace wallet is 26 inches long, so I know if I make the trace as long as this, it will fit, and it will be the 24 inches in length. See your little tag ends of crimp, your little tag ends of metal? Don't throw them on the ground for bare feet to find or animals' paws to find. Take them with you, put them in a bin bag. Now we're going to attach the second treble. We're going to take off this bait flag that was stuck onto it for some reason. This is where you decide how far you want your trace hooks to be apart. For me, that's about the right sort of length there. You know, you're going to use a bait that's about that sort of length, so yeah, this is about right. There's two ways of doing this. I use the knotless knot method. If any carp anglers are out there, they'll bound to know what the knotless knot is. You fold the wire back upon itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you take the wire and go back through the eye of the hook and pull it tightly. Pull it tight, not tightly. And there you go. There is your hook secured. That isn't going to move. Not this side of the second coming of Christ, but that is not going to move. Then I slide down another little rubber silicone sleeve thing, and that covers it all up. The good thing about these rubber sleeves, or these silicone sleeves, they can take an absolute kicking from the pike. Doing the swivel is the same way as you did the hook. You slide on a little sleeve. Come on, you bollocks. Sleeve. Crimp, which you probably can't see. Crimp. And swivel. Swivels, I use ball bearing swivels. Hello, buddy. Let me just pause this. Well, that's a first. I've just had somebody that subscribes to the channel come down and give me a bottle of whiskey and a packet of cigars. Wow, I'm blown away here. That's awesome. That's something that's never happened to me before. So we're having whiskey tonight anyway. I'll put this out of the road before anyone thinks I'm on the bank drinking. Right, back to making a trace. Where was I? How far did I get? Right, rubber sleeve, crimp, and ball bearing swivel. I like ball bearing swivels because they twist in the water really, really well, and they tend to be very, very reliable. These swivels are 40 kilo strength. I can't remember the name of them. I buy them off one of my sea angling friends that uses them for tope fishing. So these are like the step down that he would use. He would obviously use like the 60 kilo ones. These are the 40 kilo ones. But any sort of name, you know, AFW make good ball bearing swivels. There is some good makes out there, but again, do your own research. So we've took the wire, put it through the swivel, and we've wrapped the tag end around once. We then take the tag end and put it through the hole, like so. We then take the tag end, and this is the fiddly bit, and fold it down here. We basically want this tag end to go through this little hole. The fidgety mess about a bit, and then you pull the tag end with your pliers nice and tight. Again, that's not moving. That's pulling as tight as I can pull, and that's not moving. Your crimp just neatens the tag end up and adds that extra bit of security. So again, move it to about there, and then crimp it with your pliers. There you go. fold your tag end into your gully, trim it at 5mm. Trying not to get stuck with trebles. So then you have your little sleeve going over your crimp. Like so. And there you have it, your trace. Now if I was to measure this, I would estimate that this is be about 24 inches. So let's measure it. Let's take our tape, put it through the treble, so I'm not obviously cheating. You can see that it's there. Oh Jesus, this is actually longer than 24 inches. It's 28 inches long. Oops. Ah well, what's 4 inches between friends? So there you have it, how I make a pike fishing trace for most of my angling. I'm still actually blown away that a dude that watches the videos thought enough to buy me a bottle of whiskey. That's knocked me for six. It really has. And cigars, don't forget the cigars. Wow. YouTube's paying off. I think it's time for a smoke. Today's smoke is a rather nice Cuban. These were sent to me by one of my friends. He's a really good guy. These are actually a wedding present. So I'm going to have a cup of coffee and enjoy a good smoke. Gotta love Cuban cigars. Some cigar etiquette. I have a cutter. It's just a normal cutter. You only snip the end off. You don't. I see people putting the cutter on 1/2 inch and clipping. No, you've just wasted 1/2 inch of your cigar. Cigars, never ever use a Zippo lighter, a petrol lighter. The petrol goes straight away into the leaf and it ruins the cigar. Use a match or a blue flame. I'm going to enjoy this and carry on fishing. There's silly people on the river today. There's a little, they're like a red plastic boat called a Wally boat. The river's very, very high and the river's moving quite a lot. So I've just sat and watched three humans racing down the loch or the river. Well, going down the river with the flow, you'll be awesome. You can go at warp speed. However, going up the river and getting under the bridge in a gutless boat, well, it's fun to watch. So they've just raced that way, which is awesome, because it means I get to watch them sat where I am, smoking my good cigar, trying to get up past the river, up past the bridge, and it is absolutely tanking through. You can just sit and watch the river coming through the bridge where it narrows. The match guys described it to me as like a washing machine. They're not far wrong. So yeah, we have to watch the humans try and get the boat back to the bridge. Make it up through the bridge. Or will it be pushed back down on top of us? Place your bets now. It's right behind the big bush. Oh, looks like it's got a good head of steam. There's smoke coming out the back of it. It looks like it's gonna make it. Oh, bit of a wobble. It made it. Let's see if the Wally wanker can make it. So that's the view for today. As you can see, there is the bridge, there is the flats, there is the police station. There's the roads. And here is the angler. Update time. We're catching bugger all. It's a bit pants. The river is continuing to rise. I do not know what is going on, but all I do know is the pike aren't eating, which is a little bit crap. Teeny bit crap. I have a big rainbow trout out. It's not been touched. I have a dyed orange roach out and an eel tail. And so far, not a great deal has picked up on them. The river is still absolutely tanking through. So, to report, it's not been the best day. just whacked some salmon stuff into my rainbow trout. Recast the eel. I've pushed it a little bit further out into the flow, so hopefully if there's anything kind of like just jogging between flow and slack, it'll see my eel tail. It is currently 25 to 4. I think I'll stay to about 5 o'clock, then take a slow drive home. We've had some pretty good gusts of wind. We've had some pretty good rain showers. Oh, I've caught a swan mussel. That's another one. I caught a big swan mussel. It took a fancy to the smelt. Don't know why it did that, but yeah. We're still getting the good strong winds. The brolly is doing alright, standing up. Considering when I bought this thing it was in 2012, so you know, or I got it December 2012, start of 2013. So it's lasted, you know, it's lasted a good 7 years. So I can't really complain that much about it. JRC do excellent brollies and bivvies. Okay. That's the eel that's just put further out into the current. I'm not sure if it was the current or if it was something picking it up. Oh, I got wiped out by a plastic bag. I thought I hooked the mother of all pike. It turns out it was Naz the carrier bag. See these fucking bag for life. Swear to Christ, it's gonna fucking kill me. Bag for life, save the environment. Not when you dump the bastard into the river. Thing is, when I struck into it, you almost thought it pulled back. I couldn't believe it. Fucking bag for life. Oh. Anyway, here endeth the update. I went to where I was fishing last week in the hope that maybe had left it there, the waistline, or you know, maybe it was still kind of wherever it was last week, but it is not there. It is not there, and this road is still as flooded as it was last week. So it looks like I'll be in the market for a new floating retaining sling. I've had a quick search on eBay and I quite like the new ProLogic ones. They're £30, well £35, and they're like camoed. Not that camo matters, but the one I seen on eBay selling them, the camo one was cheaper than the plain green one. Go figure. So it looks like next weekend's angling adventure could also be an initial response of a gear review for the new ProLogic retaining sling. That's if it arrives this week. Sometimes when you order stuff from America, it actually gets here quicker than stuff you order from England, which is bizarre, I know, but such is life, I guess. I can remember ordering a load of lures from Helen's muskie shop in America. It was quite a lot of lures. And it was like a Sunday afternoon when I'd sent the email off and the PayPal details and all that sort of stuff. And I was blown away that Thursday morning there was a parcel arrived at the door that was these lures. So they've been managed to arrive from North America, you know, in lickety-split time, which always makes me wonder when I order stuff from England how sometimes it can take a fortnight to get here. Another thing I don't get is the postage and packaging rip-off. How someone can send the box, I'm talking it must have weighed a good maybe 4 or 5 kilos full of fishing lures, and it cost something like $15 for the postage and packaging. You know, and at the time you were getting for every pound it was like $1.80, you know, so the exchange rate was amazing. So $15 wasn't too much to pay, you know. I thought this was awesome, especially when you take into consideration how quick it arrived. And then I go to order something, you know, like trivial things, like I can remember ordering a cooking set, or I was looking at a cooking set. The cooking set that I bought in the end up was Wedgwood. I don't even think they're alive anymore, I don't even think they're on the go. But I wanted a nice easy cooking set that's meant to stand up to everything that I do and all the good stuff. I went to, you know, the usual kind of shopping around, because I like to shop around. And I seen one shop that's going to remain nameless. The shop's actually closed down now. But I added it to cart, you know, as you do, and thought, let's just get this dispatched to me. And it came to postage and packaging to send a small box to Northern Ireland, and they were wanting £35 for it, postage and packaging. I can remember phoning the shop up and saying, you know, who's your courier, because it was cheaper out there. Even the Royal Mail's cheaper than that. And they go, oh, we use such and such a company. It's like, alright. And you ask them, you know, well, is there any way you could maybe change and use like the Royal Mail this once for this here? Nope. Okay. No worries. You just talked yourself out of a sale then. Hardly a surprise that shop went bust. But what can you do, eh? That's the third week in a row I've went fishing during some pretty severe weather, and I've caught nothing. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying going fishing and catching nothing. I don't like it. But we will see what tomorrow's angling adventure or the next day's angling adventure brings. Until then, people, tight lines.